James is here.
There he is.
James, nothing is happening today. This is ridiculous.
Nothing's happening tomorrow.
Nothing's happening over the course of the next 21 hours, is it?
It sure does look that way. That like it's going to be quiet. This is really, I don't know if we should have expected something different. I mean, if it was going to happen, we knew that a couple of weeks ago they were like really, really focused trying to get something done, whether it was Siakam or some other player. But once you get this close, you really do run the risk of like upsetting the apple cart of like messing up culture and team chemistry and team unity. And I mean, sometimes that's a good thing, but all of a sudden this group is playing better. I'm just not sure that they can pull off something that moves the needle at all at this point. And, again, you get to July 1st and it resets your roster. And if you made the playoffs, all of a sudden you have all 7 years of first round picks to work with and pick swaps and everything else. And you still have basically the same roster outside of a guy like Malik Monk, who you'd hope to retain.
Yeah.
So now a lot of your players are either on expiring deals that are easier to trade or shorter term deals that might be easier to trade. So I don't know. It kind of feels like it's quiet. It's really quiet.
Yeah, and I know we're talking King specific, but it also goes to the whole league. You mentioned it. I mean, the biggest deals were already made. You know what I mean? Like if Pascal and OG were traded today or tomorrow, we'd be like, man, this trade deadline's crazy. Well, the deals already happened a couple weeks ago. It feels like those were the two for sure sellers.
Yeah.
Like we knew Toronto couldn't do the same thing that they just did with Fred VanVleet. They didn't have intentions on signing those guys. They had to move that. Other than that, like I talked about in the handoff, I just don't know if there's that many sellers, out there. So like we think the Wizards are looking to move on from Kyle Kuzma, but they don't really have to. Like they could do something in the summer. They're not in contention. They're not, they don't have to move on from him to tank for a draft spot. They're good they're bad all by their own. So I just don't know who the sellers are for impact players. I feel like there's guys that like Monte Morris, maybe those guys get moved more tomorrow, but somebody that you feel completely changes your franchise. I don't think that number one, those guys are available and there's any motive to really make those deals from teams.
I think there's motivation by the Kings to make a deal to bring in a big guy. And then I also, at this point, if you can improve a little bit here or there, like go ahead and do it. As long as it doesn't cost you much. I mean, the Kings have all of their second round picks except for 2030, and they have an extra one in 2025. So if you're going to play in that market, you also have to remember the Kings have an open roster spot.
Wait, where's the 2030 pick?
It went as part of the Chris Duarte deal. So they gave up a 2028 that they had from the Mavericks, and then the 2030 in the Chris Duarte, and that's just a second round pick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not first round picks.
Oh, okay.
So that's not a big deal. So they have all of that stuff intact. They also have an open roster spot. So if a team calls and says, "Hey, will you take a league minimum contract from us, or will you take a $5 million player and give us a $2 million player and save us a bunch of money off the cap?" Will you do that? And, in a deal like that, maybe you get a second round pick, like what they did with Kessler Edwards last season. So you still have options, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the Kings are probably like weighing all of these things out right now. I mean, if you would have done this like a week ago, you could have traded for like a minimum scale guy and then waived him and had him clear waivers and then do something else again. But they didn't do that. So now we're kind of at this point where you can't, like, you can trade for a guy, waive him, and then maybe sign Keon Ellis afterwards. Or you could trade for a guy and just keep him on your roster and see how he works out. But, I think that like things start to shift and you never know. There could be some crazy deal that pops up tomorrow morning or late tonight. And we could be watching the game tonight and look down and all of a sudden we got like some like weirdness on the bench and guys start hugging guys and guys take off and go to the locker room. Like that's totally possible. You just don't know. And so for right now, I'm going to say that it's quiet. Like all of my sources are like, man, I've got nothing on the Kings at all. But you bring up a good point. Like this kind of it feels a little bit like a junior high dance where you got a bunch of people who are just standing around like wishing that they could dance with somebody, but they don't know who to dance with, and and then you got a couple of people are out there, they're dancing with everybody. They like know the game, but Kings kind of feel like that awkward kid off to the side, like, well, there's a really pretty girl there and a really pretty girl there. I'd like to dance with them, but they may not want to dance with me. And so it just kind of gets to this weird, awkward stage. And, again, Portland and Washington, they don't have to trade these guys today. They can wait until the summer. They can wait until next trade deadline. Will Jeremy Grant lose some value? Yeah, he's going to lose some value. Would you really realistically want Jeremy Grant with $130 million left on a 4-year deal? Probably not. But Kuzma, yeah, like his deal's great. And there's going to be other players that come available this summer.
I think the best deal that we've seen, you talked about Siakam and OG. I think the best trade the Sacramento Kings could have made is the one that they made a few weeks ago for the new Harrison Barnes.
Yeah.
I don't know what they gave up to get that, but this new version of HB, that's 20 points per game, 15 field goal attempts, 8 threes a game. Like this new HB is the one.
Yeah.
I agree. I think what they may have given up is Keegan Murray's like development over 2 weeks. But big deal. Like that's just a 2-week stretch where he's been really, really inconsistent. And you can kind of count on a second-year player to go through the like ebbs and flows and the highs and lows of a season. But right now, like the way Harrison Barnes is playing, sure, you still have the problem that you can't defend anybody at all. Like the numbers from behind the arc, what they're doing right now, they're allowing Kyle did the stats like over the last 19 games, they're allowing teams to shoot like 42.6% from 3. On the season, they're allowing teams to shoot 39.5% on 3. They're the second worst team in the league at defending the 3. You got to fix that. That's a huge problem, especially in the modern NBA where everyone's hoisting. And just think back to all the teams that are horrible 3-point shooting teams that just lit up the Kings, like the Orlandos of the world, and like some of these teams that came in like as the absolute bottom of the NBA in 3-point shooting and makes per game. And some of these guys are shooting 23 and making 23s against you. They got to figure that one out because it's become a huge issue.
And I don't know if, like, I love seeing Caruso play defense the way he did on Saturday. I thought he really competed, and you could use that type of competitor on the defensive end on this team. But I don't know if you get Caruso and it's all going to change for you. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, like Johnny Dewitt talks about another first-round exit, great. Yeah, maybe. Maybe not, though. Maybe this team, as presently constituted, can be what everybody's looking for and be a team that wins around in the playoffs and moves forward. Like you said, you got HB, just being more aggressive. You got Kevin Huerter being a threat. If you get those type of things, I think if you told anybody at the beginning of the season that you're going to get a little bit more aggressive HB and Huerter being essentially about what he was last year, maybe a little less, I don't think anybody's saying like they're going to lose in the first round again. Combine that with Domas being better and Fox being better and Keegan being better and Monk being better. I don't think anybody would say, oh, they're losing in the first round. There would be people who would say that, but I think the majority of people would be like, all right, we can take a step. Everybody came back and got better. And I think that's what you're potentially looking at in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I think if you're the Kings too, like you're the Dorian Finney-Smith deals that are out there, right? And teams that are searching for first-round picks for guys like that. Like, I'm not giving up a first-round pick. That doesn't, like, that improves your team, but it improves your team marginally, right? If you're going to go out and get Dorian Finney-Smith, you might as well get DeLon Wright instead. Because, I mean, I think it's going to have, like, the same type of impact. Dorian Finney-Smith isn't walking in the door and, like, replacing Harrison Barnes. He averages 9 points a game. Is he a better defender? Sure. But I don't think he's changing everything for you. The same with, like, a Royce O'Neal. Like, okay, it's just, do those things move the needle? And would you be better off just waiting till this summer when you all of a sudden have 4 first-round picks, as opposed to dabbling here with a first-round pick that extends what you're doing, sort of with the Herder situation. It just makes it a little muckier, and sometimes you got to step back and to find clarity. And I know that like the push here is to win, 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 and I get it, and that's something that I've said the whole time. But like, if you can't get the game changing piece, I'm not gonna play on the peripheral and damage what I've got going on right now.
Yeah.
In order to add like a marginal piece that may or may not help me win 1 or 2 more games the whole season. And that's tough.
And not to cut you, but that's the whole other thing about this, that people, I don't know if they're refusing to acknowledge or just completely skipping over, is that person ain't available. For all intents and purposes, the best player available, I'm putting up quotation marks, is Kyle Kuzma. And half the people here don't even want Kyle Kuzma.
And he may not even be available.
He might not even be available. Like, the people, like, they need this. They got to go get this. That person isn't available. What's available is the Finney Smiths, the Carusos, and things of that nature. And because they are like the top of the food chain right now as far as trade, these people are asking Kyle Kuzma prices for Finney Smith. Yeah. It's like, well, I don't need him that bad.
I think there might be like 5 or 6 teams in the league that are sellers right now. And that, to me, it doesn't make any sense. There are a lot of bad teams. And why they're not selling and trying to like reset where they're going, I don't know. Again, you talk about the Bulls. The Bulls should have blown that thing up a long time ago. They right now, they won't even trade Caruso. They want a Godfather deal. That's what they're saying. We want a Godfather deal. A Godfather deal for Caruso? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, I'm.
No, y'all do your thing in 24 and 27. Like, live your life. Like, y'all are fine. Do your thing.
I dig Alex Caruso, and I think he'd be good on the Kings. But I'm not giving up
2 first-round picks and a player.
No.
Like, sit down.
No. Like, it's really bizarre, like, sort of what's going on out there. And I don't blame a team like Washington for saying, hey, look, we don't have to do anything with Kuzma. Like, I don't blame them. Yeah. Like, we can do something this summer. We can hold on to him. He can play here the whole 4 years. We're not going to be any good, but we got to sell tickets still, don't we? And, so I don't know. For me, like, there comes a point where, like, sort of the fog clears and there's some, like, a really clear vision of where the team is heading and where they have pitfalls, and you wish that they would have addressed them, but they didn't. And I still think that at some point, they need to be more active, and it can't just be looking for the superstar like home run every time. Sometimes you need a really, really solid base hit. Sometimes you need a double that helps, set the table for something else. And I think that, probably the last big move they made, probably the Kevin Herter, Malik Monk, situation where they
big moves.
Traded for one. But that's a while ago now. Like Chris Duarte hasn't panned out. Your additions during the offseason haven't really panned out. So where are you going now? And you got to figure out a way to not be stagnant. It's one thing to run it back. It's another thing to be stagnant and not be able to make a deal to improve your roster.
Sorry again. But Duarte, you bring up Duarte. That's a move they tried. Duarte is like before we saw him this year. I don't know if he was looked at any different than Finney Smith, like that much different than Finney Smith. Maybe people thought Finney Smith was better, but like, it's the same type of move. We're like, oh man, he had injuries last year. The year before that, he was really good as a rookie, solid guy. Like, all right, let's try and bring that guy in here and see if there's something left. Doesn't appear to be much left. Like, that one didn't work out, but they have tried the Finney Smith type move. And I like Finney Smith too. I think he would be helpful for the right price here in Sacramento. But I thought when they got Duarte, I was like, oh, I like that move. I want to see what he could do. I don't know. Maybe there were people who didn't like the move at all, but I thought that was a move where it was like, all right, I like it. Let's see what he can do here. Hasn't panned out the way he thought, but all right, we'll try it again next summer.
Yeah, I'd even look at, like, I think you can trade Duarte as an asset. Maybe like, you're not going to get anything specifically for him. I don't even think you can get one of your second round picks back for him. But what he is going into next season is he's a like $6 million expiring contract. And you start matching that with Davion Mitchell, who becomes like a $6.5 million expiring contract. And all of a sudden you got 13 million bucks and you can go up to 15 million. So you see these pieces, they start looking like something different as we get further and further into like sort of where you are in the calendar year of the NBA. And so like you need players that you can trade. You do. Like if you're a cap team, a team that's all the way up against the cap, which the Kings are, you have to have these pieces that you can move for other pieces. If not, you get into the situation they were in last summer where they didn't have any pieces. So I'm walking into this next offseason and like, not to be rude, just looking at Trey Lyles as an $8 million expiring contract, Davion Mitchell, 6.5, Chris Duarte, 5.9 million. Like that's almost how you have to look at them. And then I think it's a lot easier to pitch a Harrison Barnes at 2 years, 37 million remaining, or, Kevin Huerter, 2 years, 34 million remaining. So you start looking at players in a different way as you get deeper and deeper into the length of the contract.
I think there's also, we have to be, aware over the next 21 hours about Monty McNair making a deal. Monty McNair didn't do this. Monty McNair didn't do that. In the case of the Indiana Pacers, there was a clear, Chris Duarte didn't have a role with that team anymore. There was an obvious trade partner in that regard. With Kevin Huerter, even, that was a team that, to this day, to me, makes no sense. The way that roster is constructed makes no sense. It made even less sense when Kevin Huerter was there. You've got to find teams who have reasons to trade players. And to think that Monty is just sitting on his hands not doing anything, there's also there's not realistic trade partners out there. It doesn't fall squarely on the shoulders of Monty McNair. I don't want Monty McNair to give up a stupid amount of assets to go acquire Alex Caruso either. Kyle Kuzma might not actually be available. Like we could run through this list over and over and over and over again, but it's not just a Monty McNair scenario. It's a scenario involving other general managers and their roster construction as much as Sacramento's roster construction.
Yeah. I mean, it like the girl might not want to dance with you.
I hate when that happens.
And not only that, but
that is a tough look.
But
man.
You don't know why she doesn't want to dance with you. She might want to dance with you because all you got is like you're ugly. Or she might not want to dance with you because she likes some other dude that's on the other side of the room. Like there are all kinds of reasons.
She knew I was broke. That's what I always thought it was. She knew I was broke.
So, I mean, I get it. But if I'm Monty, even at this moment right now, you got like 20 hours to work with, whatever you got to work with. Chris Duarte didn't work out. Okay. Why don't you take him and go trade him for a veteran player that maybe some other team would like to kick the tires on Chris Duarte, like a DeLon Wright, because you know exactly who DeLon Wright is.
I love that we keep going back to former Sacramento King DeLon Wright.
Like as if, like
yes,
every
he wasn't here.
Every other team has, like he's played for like 47 different teams. Yeah. But I think what I'm talking about though is go get a player, and that's where the Dorian Finney-Smiths or the DeLon Wrights and the Royce O'Neals, they come into play because they know who they are as players. You don't know who Chris Duarte is still, and Chris Duarte is not able to fill a role for you right now. Go get a guy who knows his role, steps in, plays, and can help you. And that's where I don't think it changes everything, but it certainly can potentially give you at least a few more options. And I would go back to last season where, again, we kept beating this drum like, go get Matisse Thybulle. Matisse Thybulle got traded for 2 second-round picks. And go get a Mason Plumlee. And people are, why are you so obsessed with Mason Plumlee? You get to the playoffs, and why did you lose? You lost because you couldn't get an offensive rebound against Kevon Looney. And you lost because Steph Curry went plaid on you. He just like ripped your heart out. I sure would have liked to have seen what that team looked like with Matisse Thybulle going out and trying to defend Steph Curry, at least slowing him down, and Mason Plumlee coming off the bench and maybe being able to get me a couple of rebounds, as opposed to what you did look like. And so sometimes it is the tweak, the small thing that goes a long way. And you didn't do it. You didn't figure out a way to do it. And again, I think both of those players cost a pair of second-round picks. Okay. This team has already shown you they don't value second-round picks all that much. Like they're willing to like take some flyers or trade them at the last second or sell a second-round pick. Like go use those things and go get a player who can play and help you today, who can fit into your rotation and maybe fill one of the voids that you have.
Yeah, I would love any of those guys to come on there, especially for the right price. The other thing that I think about that has happened with this team, I want to get your guys' thoughts on it, is it kind of feels like Monty, Mike, some of these players might have talked to each other like, all right, are you guys, what's going on here? Are you guys really washed? Or is there something bothering you? Because if there's something bothering you, we can fix that.
Mm-hmm.
We can work with you. And I'm talking about Herter and Barnes. No, and I won't beat around the bush. But like, are you guys just like not good at all anymore? Or is there like there's something we can work with? And it feels like they said, nah, there's something that we can work on. We gotta talk. We gotta figure some things out. But I'm not washed. I can still play, Harrison and Herter. And I think Monty looks at it like if those guys or if one of those guys still had something left in the tank to provide to this team, like you mentioned earlier, Damon, that's the move. That's the move. Getting what because the way they were playing earlier in the season was essentially like nothing we had ever seen in their careers.
Mm-hmm.
I know their overall numbers were looking a certain way, but we just talked about Harrison the last time they played Detroit. 0 of 1 rebound, 1 assist, no points.
Yep.
I ain't never seen Harrison play like that, and he was doing that on a regular basis. So it feels like Montana maybe said, "Hey, I don't know how many weeks ago, like, all right, let's see what you really got. If you got something, then we'll stay here. We'll work what we got here. Not we're gonna be forced to look elsewhere, or maybe the conversation went a different way. But it felt like they decided to look internally.
I do love the idea of we're washed, Monty. We just suck, man. I don't know what happened. We're just awful, Monty. You're going to have to figure something else out.
Are you guys washed? Oh,
yeah.
We are.
We stink, Monty. I don't know what to tell you, man.
And it looked like they gave it a couple weeks to look internally and see if there's something that could be done internally before they went out and gave up maybe some unnecessary assets or extra assets to improve this team. And they were rewarded with the guys that they were looking at playing good basketball.
Shout out Malik Monk. Malik said, hey, we needed 3 days off.
There's
that we needed a couple of days off.
Shout out David Stern. 3 days, 3 days off. We don't usually get that. That was that weird. They played on Thursday and didn't play again until Monday.
You mean Adam Silver?
Oh, that's what I said. David Stern.
I was trying to figure out, like,
what
is
Adam Silver
got to do with this?
David Stern will forever be the commissioner.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Sorry.
Well, and I would say this, like, I think both you bring up two players, right? And like we can't hide from the fact of who the Kings have literally like put on the block and who that were mentioned in all kinds of trades and like very clearly were potentially on their way out the door. But the way that both of those players like faded so heavily, they did it in a different way. Like, I think the way that I saw Harrison Barnes sort of just disappear was very specific. He was trying to be a good teammate and he was trying to listen and trying to say, I understand that you need me to take a step back. So guys like Keegan can take a step forward. I get it. Right. But I think he lost a little bit of himself each and every day and not realizing how far he had stepped back. Like, he's not a guy who's sitting there studying the box score after every game and going, oh man, he's not that guy. And I think he lost sight of what was happening and how far he had fallen. And then when it comes to Herter, man, Herter got so messed up in the playoffs that like he couldn't shoot at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get into the preseason and it's still there. Like, he's got the yips. And then you throw in the Duarte thing where
he wasn't helped.
No, he wasn't helped. But at the same time, I kind of understand what Mike was like. Hey, this is a better defender. He's a guy who's physical. He's got the tools. He plays within a system and he's played with Domas in the past. Maybe he does fit in. Maybe it does work. And I get a better defensive player to put alongside De'Aaron Fox. But the problem was, I don't think he understood how far that Kevin had kind of got in his head. And then by that point, like, you got in his head even further.
Yeah.
And you really lost a guy. And then all of a sudden, like, it goes away. He figures it out. Like, all it took was it was the one game where they left him in the game late. He ends up scoring like 17 points in a blowout where they're getting trashed, but you let him shoot through it. You let him find his confidence. and then he looks like a different player. And as soon as he starts hitting shots, all of the other stuff starts to fill in. He starts rebounding better. He starts passing better. He starts playing better defense. Where I'll tell you, like, this run by Harrison Barnes is spectacular. Like, good for you. You're averaging, what, 20-something points per game over your last 9?
Yeah.
But you 1 rebound and no assists? Like what? Like, yeah, you get more shots. That's fine. Go do other things. That's not, there is a payoff here.
I always stall him out a little bit for this, but Domas had like 19 rebounds. Like, I don't think anyone else had more than, and I'm speaking about the Cleveland game because that was a stat line from the Cleveland game. I don't think anyone had more than like 3.
Go get 3.
No, I get that, but if I can tell you,
he got 1.
Well, give that second. Go get 3.
Well, see now look at you. Now look at you. This is what I said about Domas. Give me 2 more shots from Domantas Sabonis. You're asking, why don't you ask it a different way,
Harrison? You're not helping the team.
Look at
go.
Look at this
go
guy.
Get 2 more.
Are y'all taking note of this, or is it just me?
Yeah,
Man, I got killed because I said I wanted Domas to shoot like a couple, to shoot a little bit more. I was destroyed.
That's not how you said it, and I wasn't around to hear how you really said it. But it sounded like
this is like the Kenny calling me a pop DJ all over again. He doesn't know what I said, but he's got an idea of what it is, and he's just gonna believe it.
See, they like Domas more too, though. It's like the HB, they might look the other way.
Yeah, see.
I'm kind of like, Domas can't take 9 shots. Like that can't be what happens. He has to take 13, 14.
His average is 13. I asked, hey, like maybe get to 15 or 16.
Yeah.
Oh, Domas is just fine. Leave him alone. Stop. It's the bench. It's the other guy. Like, okay, sorry. I'll just sit here for 4 hours and shut the hell up.
In all honesty, it's something that Sean Cunningham all the time on the Kings Beat podcast has said. Like, I want him to average 21, 22 a game. And I'm like,
points or shots?
Points.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like even higher than that. That's fine. Like 23, 24. That's fine. You're that good. But I also, like, some guys are just, they're unselfish to a fault. Again, coached forever, coach soccer, and like some kids, it doesn't matter what position you put them in, they're still a defender. Their first instinct is to backpedal and support. And that's okay. Like, you just have to put them in the right position to succeed. And I think that they've found that with Domas.
I just also think it's the way he sees the floor. Like, I think LaMelo Ball has the best court vision in basketball. Like, the way he sees the floor, like, I don't think there's another player in the league that sees it like that.
And if it is, it's his brother.
Well, yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Domas or Jokic and Domas are really high on that list of guys who see the floor a certain way. And Domas's unselfishness to a fault. Like, I think Jokic can, like, he's a scorer. Like, that's what he is. He just takes advantage of these other gifts that he has. I think Domas is a facilitator, and then when he wants to score, he will. Yeah. I think that's the biggest difference between the two.
No, I totally get it. And like, for me, I'm okay with Domas being the scorer. I want him to average around 20 a game, but
which is what he does.
19,
right?
20. Like, yeah. I'm always fine with what he does as far as a scorer, but there are games where he needs to, like, imprint himself more on the game as a scorer, especially against the Cavs, where the last time they played the Cavs, he ran over them. What do you have, like 36 and something? Like, all he did was score. The Kings could have used that Domas the other night. They could have used a guy that bullied his way right through Jarrett Allen and Mobley and just went right to the rim time after time after time. You can't settle and just score 9. Just have 9 shots. But the other thing, what I love about Domas is it's something like I always, all throughout the early part of the season, Brock Purdy throws to 4 guys. Sometimes it's 3, but really it's 4 guys. He only throws to Debo and Ayuk and Kittle and McCaffrey. But then you have this situation where you might need a third down. You might need somebody to catch, but he doesn't have, like, the rapport with that person because he doesn't naturally hit that guy. You watch Domas, he'll get done with a game and he might have, like, the other night he had 15 assists. I think he had 15 assists to 8 different players. Like, that's nuts. Wow. Like, the fact that he's involving everybody, that everybody gets to feel like they're part of it. Yeah. that is right there a centerpiece. And so again, I'm okay with the decisions he makes because I know what he's trying to do is be the best player for himself and his team and get everybody involved and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I do understand what you're saying.
I know you don't.
Don't
patronize me.
I do understand what you're saying. But I never, outside of like they give you the ball at the top of the circle and nobody's guarding you, shoot the shot. I don't feel like Domas is the guy that you dump the ball down to and say go to work. I don't think that's his nature. I don't think that's what his game is. The place for more shots for him is probably 1 more three a game. And then when he's at the top, or maybe sometimes he's like on the wing, but he's orchestrating the dribble handoff and he's holding the ball with one hand, doing all this. Let all that traffic go through. Your guy is 5 feet off you. Pull up right there and hit that.
Yeah.
That's the shot I wouldn't mind him taking a little bit more than what he does.
I would also like to see them run him as like the Princeton style at the, the top of the key and allow Keegan and Harrison to go post up on occasion because I think both of those guys can score like crazy. And that I think it would add another element. The way that Vlade used to hit Weber in the post or Weber would hit Vlade in the post. I would like to see that where they have a big feed a guy down below, especially with floor spacers everywhere. Especially you have Harrison Barnes go through on the cut. Every once in a while, stop. Stop. We saw it last year. We had that stretch where all of a sudden they started doing that. Just stop. And he's wide open almost every single time because guys will run right by you thinking that you're running into the corner. And I would like to see Domas like have that ability to feed, especially Barnes. Barnes is an exceptional scorer in the post. And that's what Keegan was in college. I mean, he's like 97th percentile as a post scorer. Mike Brown doesn't believe it. And Keegan keeps telling him to watch YouTube. And he's like, well, then send me the YouTube clip. Well, we keep having like this conversation with these guys, but it's something that I think would improve the overall offense.
We'll come back. We'll talk more with James Ham. The Sacramento Kings take on the Detroit Pistons tonight at the Golden One Center, and we are 21 some odd hours away from the NBA trade deadline. Much more ahead. It's Elo and KC, brought to you by Sky River Casino here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. This is full doing.
The hell?
What's up?
This. What are you doing?
Change the regulation for football, the size.
What are you doing?
Who does this? Does it benefit the Niners at all? That's all we're worried
It
about.
does.
Spike it.
Do what?
Spike it.
Like,
On camera.
That's
No,
not a
no, don't
spike.
do that.
No.
Don't do that.
That's spike.
What
It's
is
when
happening?
they slam the ball into the ground after a touchdown. It's a spike.
ow. Oh, God.
What is happening here? What is happening?
Oh, I didn't know had a little things on it. What are these called?
Running plays. Yeah.
Yeah.
The go route. The curl.
I see corner. I see
Everybody say hello to
Yeah,
Kim.
post.
Why didn't Kim fill in while I was gone? She could
That was
host it.
suggested
Yeah. Kim.
on the other show, not for this one, but
Well,
it was
you could have done the
suggested
other
on
show,
one.
too.
there we go.
Could have done both. Not doing anything else around here.
All right, this is why you don't order stuff off of Amazon.
Body slam it and then drop an elbow on it.
No.
Why
'Cause
not?
I need to keep it cute for the decor.
So that's what's happening on Friday. Are you having food?
You bringing some in?
No.
All right, then I guess we aren't having it.
Why are we? We could have used that $5 on a pizza from Little Caesars.
Wow.
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 We didn't get one.
Are we doing Donut Friday?
15.
Do I need to
Yeah.
bring donuts on Friday?
Yeah, we'll give you some money. Ask Aaron.
Ask
Dude,
Aaron.
if we get it right, you really gonna tell us how much it was?
Was it more than $20?
No, I was gonna say $17.
Oh my gosh, how did you know that?
I just know things.
That's
I
crazy.
just
Yeah.
know things.
All right,
know
back to
things.
my decorating.
What's your favorite Usher song?
I talk on the radio and know things.
Good question.
What is
Kim's
it?
a little young,
Confessions
too.
Part 2? I'm not a little. Oh, you're right. I am young. Confession.
Confessions Part 2.
Yeah.
It's a great song. It is a great song.
What is that? The Caught Up song.
Caught Up. That was on Confessions too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good
Caught Up
song.
might have been better than Burn.
It's not better than Burn. Burn
I
is
said,
fire.
I said
You're
Burn on
hating.
that album.
You're
I'll show some respect and say it's the 7th best song on that album.
Oh.
Ball is way too big to hold.
Well, pause.
All right.
So you're out of here, ma'am. Stop talking like that.
I didn't curse.
That's still a penalty in this room.
It's
That's
illegal
right.
contact.
It's illegal
Go
contact.
throw the flag on it.
Yeah, she
Look.
got
Let's
it.
talk about Drake.
We didn't talk about why would we talk about Drake?
That's a technical foul right there.
What do we need to break down with Drake?
Everyone wants to know James's favorite Usher song.
James, do you know Usher song?
Like I know, like if I heard one, I would know it.
I think he knows. Yeah, if he heard, yeah, he would.
Oh, he definitely know that.
Be like, oh yeah, I heard that one.
Shout out John Bull. John Bull, I see. I appreciate
John
you,
Bull,
brother.
what up, big dog?
There was some Little Caesars disrespect in the chat when you mentioned it, KC.
What?
We don't do that here, you guys.
Hey, y'all watch yourselves. Disrespect Little Caesars like that.
It is true. You
Now
can't get
that
a
it's
$5
not-
hot and ready anymore.
Yeah, they did. They got a little corporate on us.
It's a $10 hot and
Yeah,
ready.
they got a little corporate. I don't like that.
Actually, I like people.
You know this song.
Oh yeah. Actually, I think to be honest with you, I think Usher and Jamie Foxx were in the locker room when the Cavs won in Oakland.
That sounds
Usher's a
alright.
part
Yeah, the ownership
owner.
group.
Yeah.
So yes, I have been in the same room as Usher
No?
and
But look,
Jamie Foxx.
hey, look, Burn is a good song. I
saying.
ain't saying Burn's a
it's
bad
fine.
song.
No, that's kind of
I like Burn. I know all the words.
no. I don't
No
know.
burn for me to say this. It's coming from the heart. Been a long
It
time
caught up
coming.
is fire. Yeah,
Wait a
caught
minute, got
up
a
is
bar.
kind of fire.
Really want to work things out. I know all the words. I love the
Oh.
song, but it's just on that album, it's like 7 or 8.
T-Bone, no, I don't think it has. I think it's gone back up. Like I think people
I even like.
just
Sorry,
figure
James.
out he got in a bit of a rut.
I even like. What's my song? Ooh, you're what I needed. You came just in time with what I needed. Ain't nothing like them other girls I see around the way. You stay down like them girls from around the way. Come on, man, that was fire too.
Mm.
Boom, boom, boom,
okay.
boom, 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 boom.
I
but
think this is
what we're
Kenny's
really
favorite song.
saying-
This is Kenny's favorite song. Hey, baby, let me lay you down.
It's actually not a bad song because of
Yeah.
Usher, but
It's not my favorite.
I like I Don't Mind.
Bad Habits is fire.
He needs to play I Don't Mind. Bad Habits. That's one of my. That's it. Earlier, like top three favorite Usher song. He needs to play I Don't Mind. Since he said he's doing the stripper thing, you gotta play I Don't Mind.
I don't think that's what he said, did he?
Yeah, he
Securing
said
a
he's
bag
gonna
lead.
bring Atlanta strip culture to the Super Bowl.
Thought he said skate culture.
What'd he say?
Skate. The skating
No,
from
I thought he
the
said
from the
stripper.
oh well, hey, salute.
I thought he said he's gonna bring that strip club culture to it. Now he can
I-
bring both.
I do not know why Drake was trending.
Don't
Nor am I
find
going to.
out.
Don't worry about
Don't
that.
find out,
Don't worry about
especially on a work computer.
Hey, nah, lovers and friends. That is, man, come on, man.
Is
That's
that I think
fire.
that's tomorrow. No, what's tomorrow? No, tomorrow's Love in This Club.
Loving This Club is fire too. Both of them. Yeah. Loving This Club. I feel like we got cheated because we didn't get a second Usher verse.
Hmm.
And Luda actually was in his bag on that verse. That's one of my favorite Luda features. He was in his bag on that verse.
I'm still getting used to this UFC WWE stuff. I just got an email that says experience UFC 298 from a luxury suite with Montez and Bianca.
Have you seen their show?
No,
Are you? Oh, so you say like you're not going to see it?
that's not my bag.
I go see the show.
I mean, I like
You
them
didn't like
both.
Total Divas? I thought
You
Total
know,
Divas was cool. Like the first 3 years or something.
I never watched it live ever. And then when the network came out, I was like, oh, I'll see what it is. It's like, oh, whatever. And then like before I know it, I'm 4 seasons into it. And I'm referring to Tyson Kidd as TJ now. No, I didn't like it. I just caught the first 80 or so episodes of it. That's all.
Are they still married?
Yeah, I think so. I hope so.
I hope so too. I just didn't know because she like went all in on her.
Yeah, she's changed.
Yeah, she went
Yeah,
all in, so I didn't know what happened.
she's evolved.
Yeah, I'm gonna check out Montez and Bianca. I'm
All
gonna
right.
check it out. I like Total Divas, much like you. It wasn't like my favorite show, but I'd watch Total Divas, enjoy it. What was the girl that was with Trinity? Carmen, was it Carmen? No, it wasn't Carmen. It was Ariel or
Yeah, maybe it's
I
that
can't remember. Yeah,
Trinity and
but she
yeah, I
wanted to
can't
be a
remember.
star so bad.
What's her real name? Naomi.
Naomi.
No, Trinity's her real name. Naomi's her working name.
Trinity
Right?
is her real name.
Yeah. All right.
Now that we got that.
James is here. James, what's your favorite reality show? Do you have a reality?
Everybody got a reality show.
Yeah,
they like.
it's Survivor.
Oh, Survivor.
Yeah.
I guess that's
James, do you watch
You miss
Swamp
me.
People?
No.
It's a good show. It is a good show.
James's favorite reality show is the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
The NBA. Cameron, that's
You
right.
see,
It's
Hayward
Cameron.
Highsmith reportedly struck an individual who was assisting another driver stranded on the road Tuesday night, per Anthony Slater.
Wait,
Andy
do
Slater.
that again?
Andy Slater. I don't know who that is. Hayward Highsmith,
Who's that?
Miami Heat.
And he got hit or
no,
he hit somebody?
Struck an individual who was assisting another driver stranded on the
Wasn't
road.
a high school senior. Never mind.
The victim is in critical condition, has sustained a partial amputation of his legs.
Oh, jeez.
That's not good.
Oh, that's
Well,
awful.
no, they are saying that it's Slater, unless they're not saying.
Wow.
I don't know. I should not be reading something from NBA Central.
No, you absolutely
Nah,
should.
don't do that to NBA Central.
Nah,
Okay.
come on, man.
You're okay.
Come on, man.
They even had the
Come on, man.
NBA, the real NBA Central. They even changed up their name because they said we don't want to be affiliated with these people who are out here doing crazy stuff.
What did they change their name to?
It's like the Dunk Central or something like that.
Oh,
No, it's Andy Slater, who I guess is
Andy.
He's a Miami guy.
Oh,
Andy Slater,
Who's the
talk show
ESPN
host,
guy?
on-air
I'm thinking-
personality for Fox Sports 640 in Miami, Florida.
all right. Well,
I hope
okay.
everybody's okay, man.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Did you I want to finish talking Kings, but I do want to say, do you guys think Klay Thompson gets traded?
No. Like
So-
today?
Yeah.
No.
So they're gonna
But if
They're
Clay
gonna-
leaves that Philadelphia game hugging teammates, I'm a bug out.
So I only asked that because it's like, so I mean, I don't think they're gonna give him the money he's looking for. I don't know if anybody is, but you think they just gonna run the risk of moving on from Clay
Yeah,
for nothing?
I think so.
Mm.
I don't know
think
that.
so. I don't
Like,
think
what
they-
is his value? I mean, that might
I
be
think
one
he
of
has
his
value. I do think he has value. I struggle looking at the Warriors because I don't think the Warriors are going to do anything.
Mm.
I struggle looking at the Warriors because Wiggins came up earlier in push notifications and alerts and Warriors interest and all of that stuff. Like, I have trouble measuring exactly what Andrew Wiggins is as a basketball player versus what he is as a basketball player on the Golden State Warriors right now. Clay, I think, might be a little bit more indicative of who he is as a player at this point, but I still think he could be valuable to a team, but not like if you think you're acquiring the other Splash Brother.
I guess, but
You know what I mean?
he makes $43 million. And
Yeah,
he's
just
on
for the rest of the season.
Well, yeah, but I mean, in order to do that, to go out and get him, you got to give up a lot. You got to give up $36 million for the contracts or something. It gets a lot, maybe 35 million.
Mm,
But so how do you
Yeah.
acquire him?
yeah.
You know, it like
Yeah.
the Chris Paul thing. Oh, they'll just trade Chris Paul. Well, okay.
So Chris Paul for Klay Thompson?
Yeah, exactly. You got two of them.
Yeah.
I mean, those are massive expiring contracts,
Yeah.
but you know, the Warriors are still way over the cap for next year too. So I don't know.
Even with Clay and
CP3.
Chris gone?
Yeah, they're at $174,818,460 for next year, and that's with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Well, you
9
certainly
players.
pissed away 25 million. We know where that's going. Where the
I don't know, but
Andrew Wiggins has
if
another year.
it's for
I
next year,
assume?
then yeah, that's probably not factoring in Clay and Chris because they're you
Well,
can't.
that's what I mean. No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about the other players.
Oh
Okay,
no, I know.
so
yeah.
Chris Paul-
yeah,
I think only half
was
of
a
his
waste.
is guaranteed, so that's not factoring this in. So maybe they get down to 160, but Wiggins is owed 26, 28, and 30 million over the next 3 years.
Man, I didn't
Draymond's
realize he had 3 years
Yeah.
left.
yeah,
That's the
24,
guy they try to move
26, and
on
almost
from.
28 for Draymond. And Steph next year makes 55.761 million. The year after that, he makes 59, almost 60 million bucks. So
And is that the end of Steph's contract?
yeah, he's got 2 more years. Yeah. So
If you're the
Everybody's
Warriors,
got a price for the $100 million man.
if you're the Warriors, there's no way you don't re-sign Steph Curry.
None.
Even if, like, because we talked about, I know he had 60 the other night. That was crazy. Shout out to him.
Lost.
And a loss.
Tell the whole story.
I got to tell the whole story. They lost.
Thank you.
You know, he had 60, but it just wasn't good enough.
Ooh.
Oh, well.
Well, we ain't talk about Doc today.
I got to be honest with you. I wouldn't wish this on anybody. I wouldn't wish this on anybody.
Doc is
Be honest with you.
1-4. Doc couldn't help the Sacramento Kings at all last night.
Man,
Let the Suns come in there and beat them.
that was nasty.
Hey, I'll caution everybody, though. We got our jokes off about the Clippers when James Harden arrived and they struggled.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get any jokes off about Doc Rivers yet.
But
yeah,
Steph Curry is still one of the best players in the league. In 2 years, at 38,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "Yeah, I want a max."
Mm-hmm. Here you go, bro. Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with, because I didn't really have a problem with the Lakers doing that with Kobe. I was like, to a certain degree, yes, you are paying him for what he brought to
Services
you,
rendered, yeah.
you know, in his career. But wow. Because the other thing about that, I think a lot of people talked about it with Kobe, was like they couldn't do anything because basketball wise, people were still, you know, it was still Kobe's show, and they couldn't bring somebody in there that would, you know, take over that locker room or anything, because Kobe was still there.
Mm-hmm.
This would have major financial ramifications. Like, let's just say they want to keep Kuminga around. Like, they got mad earlier because we said trade Kuminga and Drew down. 2 years from now, you're in the Kuminga and Moody business and Draymond business, and you just gave Steph Curry $290 million or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, hopefully by then you've traded Draymond Green, so you've eliminated that. But like, I still, it also, like, you're still a financial one. As long as you have Steph Curry on your team, you're still on national television. You're still one of the most valuable franchises in the NBA. The second Steph Curry isn't on your team, you're not that anymore.
It's true.
Unless Kuminga's a far bigger star than any of us can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
But like, without Steph, even if Steph is gone and you're still a playoff team, you're not that.
Mm-hmm.
You're not what you are now. Steph is what makes you what you are.
You're the Bulls.
You pay him. Yeah, you pay him whatever the most you're legally allowed to pay him. That's what you pay him.
I agree.
Because you're going to make that money back tenfold. You'll figure out the salary cap stuff. You'll figure out Draymond Green and whatever, you know, contracts you're going to give Kuminga, should that continue to progress the way that it's going and you fill this team out the best you can. But it starts with Steph Curry every time. At 38, it starts with Steph Curry at 42 if he wants.
I agree with you completely. Like, they're going to have to keep going with what they've got for right now. And I don't know that they can just trade Draymond Green with 2 years and 3 years, 75 or
Nobody
whatever.
want that contract.
Yeah, nobody's going to want that. But and I would say the same thing. You're close to that with Wiggins. You're going to have to take back equal money with Wiggins. You're not going to get off that contract without, you know, taking back something that isn't very good. So I'm intrigued to see how they play it out, because watching a dynasty end like this is really intriguing. But I think you pay Kuminga, you got to give Kuminga, and I don't know what you pay Kuminga. That's one of the problems. Like, you know, he's good. He's playing really well right now, but is he max money, like rookie extension good? Which is what they seem to do, is just give whatever we can give him, just give it to him.
Yeah, like I feel like if you believe, if he's trajecting towards that, and I think a lot of teams do this, then the answer is absolutely yes. You almost have to prove that you're not a max rookie extension guy more than you are. Like, if they see the potential, and he's shown it in the last, I don't remember what numbers I had yesterday, like the last 10 games where he's averaging like 25 points a game.
Yeah, he's cooking.
And he only started in 5 of those. Like, yeah, I'm buying in. If this is along the lines of what we're seeing, when he becomes eligible for that rookie extension. Yeah, like I'm buying into this. Like I'm looking at this guy. It's like, here's who I'm building around with Steph Curry. I have one quick follow-up though. What constitutes the end of a dynasty?
It's kind of hard to. I mean, some people would say not making the playoffs. Others would say losing in the playoffs. Like you can.
Like, is it the end of a dynasty? The end of their ability to win a championship?
That's where I look at it.
Yeah.
I could say I feel like it ended last year with that second round loss to the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
I think the dynasty is over. That doesn't mean they're going to go and be the Pistons.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they're just a playoff team, second round ceiling. They can't, as presently constituted, they can't get to a championship again.
Okay.
Dynasty for the Warriors is over for me. It's a hell of a run.
Mm-hmm. Okay, do you agree with that, Hammer?
Yeah, I think that their dynasty pretty much came to an end when they lost in the second round of the playoffs last year. And you knew that you watched them play and you're like, oh, that's they're no longer the same team.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we were all.
Do you feel that way too?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I do. I just the thing I keep getting stuck on is like I think they're going to continue to make the playoffs. Or the weird thing is now I think they're going to continue to make the postseason. Like part of me still thinks they're making the postseason this year.
I do. I think they'll find a way to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, and so like if I really like Jonathan Kuminga, I buy Steph Curry. You have to build a team now, though. Like you've saddled yourself with Draymond. You've got to make a decision on Klay, and bringing Klay back might change my mind about them moving forward because that just seems like a lost cause here at this point. I feel like you could still find Andrew Wiggins somehow, and I wonder if Andrew Wiggins is like their version of the good and the bad of Harrison Barnes, right? The dramatics ups and the dramatic downs. But I see no scenario where they're a title contender again. But I also don't see them like completely out of the postseason picture.
Yeah, I agree with you on that too.
Because and I think we just look at past dynasties. You look at the Patriots. The Patriots they ended like Brady and it was over. And their coach is gone. Like everything's gone. You brought up the Bulls a second ago. When the Bulls ended, it ended. When the Lakers ended, it ended. Restarted, then ended again.
Right.
And I'm like that doesn't feel like the trajectory of the Golden State Warriors. Feels like their ability to win titles is over, but they're still going to be there.
You know what they kind of feel like? It kind of feels
in the
like
postseason.
What happened to Portland after they went to the Western Conference Finals, where you started to see the slow decline, and then you've got a great player who is no longer like his team's no longer competitive. And I mean, that happens. It's not the first time we've seen it. It doesn't feel good to watch a player finish his career like that. But come on, if
we watched Kobe finish with like 11 wins, like we can pretty much handle anything at this point when it comes to great players.
I think that's a good.
LeBron's the only one who clearly is not going to do that.
Well, when he goes to the Knicks, he's going to win another championship.
He very well might.
But is it possible that we're watching like LeBron? He is on that team right now. He it doesn't matter how much he puts up every night. They're number 9 in the West.
Yeah, he gonna leave though.
Yeah,
he don't have. This ain't Steph and the Warriors.
No, see, that's very true.
It's gonna be Jalen, LeBron, OG.
Julius will still be there.
Julius will be there.
Yeah,
and then you'll have Josh Hart coming off the bench. They're gonna be stacked.
Yeah.
Kings Knicks in the finals next year. Can't wait for it.
That's definitely what's
I'm
happening.
traveling for that.
There it is.
I'm traveling for that finals.
Are we going to New York or are we going to Las Vegas? Where are we going for this?
Oh no, we're going to New York. We're gonna be
okay.
We're gonna be in New York, and then we're gonna be at the games here too.
Okay. All right.
I'm sitting next to Ham too.
The whole time. All right.
Oh, Madison Square Ham. I like it. By the way, just we'll have to fund that trip ourselves.
Yeah.
Maybe give our sales team a couple years notice. See if we could get
self-funded. Thank you very much.
Get something done here.
Just put away some money now for if it ever happens. Put away $50 a month, guys.
Hey, Matt, if you're listening, Jiffy Lube, just keep this in the back of your mind. If we can fund a trip to Rolling Loud, we can fund a trip to the Kings Knicks NBA Finals. And if that happens, I think Jiffy Lube would happily fund that trip.
It'd be all
We bring Matt with us. Let's ride together.
You guys out here trying to steal my sponsor.
Just trying to
Family, baby. Family,
Hey,
baby.
it's all in the family. It's all in the family. You have any concerns at all about this Pistons game tonight? Before the trade deadline, Pistons just made a deal there. They'll be without Monte Morris. They obviously won't be with Shake Milton and the guys they just acquired. But this is always a weird game. The game right before the deadline, is even especially at home, is always a little weird.
Yeah. Plus, they traded Kevin Knox earlier in the day, which he started the last game for them. So I mean, they have some holes to fill. It's always an awkward game, especially from what I could tell at shoot around today, all the Kings were there, and even tomorrow's like an awkward day. Like we've had them like, hey, we've got practice at this time, and then you show up to practice and it's like, hey, it's gonna be a while. Like, what happened? Like, it's gonna be a little while. And so it's always kind of like this awkwardness. But this morning, everyone was at shoot around, everyone's there. And so that usually signifies, well, at least, there isn't anything totally cooking right now where we're going to have a guy not get on the court and work out.
Who was it that had to tell Papa Giannis he was traded or cut or whatever it was?
Oh man.
Because was Papa Giannis the one who didn't understand that he could get cut or traded? I remember Garrett Temple telling us that story.
Giannis, yeah.
Oh, that's possible. Who told him?
That's what I'm trying to remember is who, and maybe it was Garrett that told him. I thought it was somebody else.
Okay, so they made that trade, and at the
Papa Giannis traded?
They
Okay.
were making a trade.
One of those.
And at the last second, it's the George Hill trade for Iman Shumpert, right? At the last second, Brandon Williams tried to tuck Papa Giannis into the trade. And the other two teams said, I don't want him. Like, we don't have a roster spot for him. We don't want him. So we're not taking him. And they're like, well, and Brandon Williams was like, well, that's the only way they can do the trade. And they said, well, what if we just pay out his contract for you? Like, we'll send back that money in the deal and you guys waive him. And that's what they ended up doing. So I think it was Cleveland and Utah were involved in that trade. One of them had already spent most of their money because you could only send up to $3 million to pay for stuff per season, like it combined through all your trades. So one of them kicked in like 1.8 million and the other one kicked in like 1.2 million to cover not only his salary for the rest of that year, but the Kings had to pay him out for the next year as well. And so they bought him out and he was very upset, like very emotional from what I heard, like not good. He didn't know what was going on, sort of that they could just waive him at that point because he was a first round pick and like his second season.
Poor guy. Didn't him and Cuz meet up over the weekend?
Yeah. No. It was Boogie and Sim, the big boy.
Sim
Bular.
Yeah.
It was him.
That's right.
Okay, so we have an update. Tell those guys I'm all in for NYC road trip.
Told you.
We can debate Usher fire on the flight.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Come on, man.
Now the Knicks and Kings just got to do their part, baby. Just do your part.
Now all we got to do is get the Kings to the finals, and we're headed there, baby.
Amazing.
The Insiders and D-Lo and KC
Live
and Jiffy Lube
finals.
Headed to the finals.
That's right.
I love you, Matt. You're the best.
Let's
That's
go.
Tremendous.
Now they just got to do their job. We did our job.
Yeah.
We should
Kings and Knicks got to do their job.
We should just drive an RV all the way there.
Well,
Jesus Christ.
Well.
James, you
James
wild
closed the
dude.
show today.
James
James shut down the chat today.
You still got a minute 15 to fill.
James got trade deadline vibes right now. To be clear, I'm not taking an RV anywhere. That is not my life, buddy. That's not what we're doing. Jiffy Lube,
baby.
Jiffy Lube is sponsoring that JetBlue flight. That's what they doing.
I'll even go into Newark. It don't matter, but I ain't taking the RP. We ain't doing that.
Oh, for goodness sakes. What am I supposed to do for the next
I don't
30 seconds after
know.
that?